Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending our breastfeeding class series, Breastfeeding 101. So tonight we'll be discussing the basics of breastfeeding, lactation, and just discussing some of the things that should be known before one sets out to breastfeed or nurse. So we'll be going over tips, tricks, some hurdles that a lot of mothers go through, but these are hurdles that are able to be overcome as long as we have great support and we're knowledgeable on this journey that we are all set out to do. So empowering moms to nurture naturally. So our objectives are to master breastfeeding technology and techniques. There's a level of understanding that's needed in breastfeeding, especially when if you come across any challenges or are having any issues earlier on or even down the line with breastfeeding. So we'll go over some of the terminology, language that might not be so common or may be common to some of you. We're going to understand the physical and emotional benefits for both mom and baby. There are definitely physical benefits to breastfeeding as well as benefits to the baby. Physical benefits for mom and baby. We're going to learn coping strategies for challenges and discomforts. So there are common discomforts. There are very common issues that may arise. They may not arise for everyone, but our objective here tonight is to understand what they are. So if and when and if they pop up, we know how to deal with it. We have a little bit of knowledge of whether this is normal or do we need to seek some help, some professional help. We're going to recognize do's and don'ts for successful breastfeeding. There are some common mistakes that are made, especially in those first few days and the first few weeks of life that can really impede upon your journey. So we want you to know what to do, what not to do. Ultimately, the decision is yours, but you're going to get some knowledge today on the things that work and the things that don't always work. And some things are old wives' tales and myths. So we're going to bust through those tonight. We're going to know what to seek and when to seek medical assistance or lactation support. So with all this knowledge and terminology and education that you're going to gain, like I said, if something pops up, you're going to know who those people are that are able to support you. We're going to explore the next steps, and that includes the first few experiences of breast expression, milk expression, and moving along in the infant's development, moving on to solids. All right. All right, so we have breastfeeding. It's a natural method of feeding an infant breast milk, which can be offered directly or via pumping and bottle feeding. There are other methods. Some mothers have challenges that they may need to syringe feed and other methods that we'll discuss later, but these are the common ways that this is what breastfeeding or chest feeding or nursing or whatever terminology you use, this is what it means. It's human milk. It's feeding your infant human milk. All right, benefits. It has the perfect composition of nutrition, specifically recipeed up for that infant. Okay? It also has antibodies that boosts the baby's immunity. Immunity, when you hear immunity or immune system, that's referring to your body's ability to fight off diseases, bacteria, funguses, viruses, all the things that are not welcome in the body. So our body will make antibodies to fight off these illnesses. And this is starting from day one, y'all. This is starting from day one. We're giving baby a great start. It's like giving baby a vitamin, what's the Flintstone vitamin on day one. Okay? But it's getting that straight from the source. All right. Other benefits for baby are it reduces risk of respiratory infections, allergies, and obesity. So why would it do that? Because it boosts the baby's antibodies and immune system. So of course it will fight off infections, help the baby not have so many adverse reactions to allergens and things, and also obesity. So the baby's stomach from day one is not getting stretched out with whatever they put in formula. We're not stretching the baby out with rice cereal on day one, okay? But all those little things that we do to rush a baby to, we say sleep through the night, sometimes set the baby up for failure later on in life. And obesity is one of those things. So nursing can help with that. It enhances brain development due to DHA that's in breast milk, okay? DHA is one of those brain supporting elements. Okay. So I would like to come back to positions. Let's see what else we're talking about. We'll come back to positions. All right, key terms and concepts. So you'll hear these things. You'll hear these words. You hear my baby's having a hard time latching. Latch, what does that mean? What does that sound like? Okay, it's the way the baby's mouth attaches to the breast. Okay, the deep latch prevents nipple soreness. So a latch, when we're latching, if baby doesn't latch, or it's a learning process for mom and baby. Sometimes more on the mom's side, she needs to learn a little bit more than baby. Sometimes it's baby, we got to train the baby to open its mouth properly. Okay? It's very, very important to the success of breastfeeding. A deep latch prevents nipple soreness. If you have a very shallow latch where the baby's just kind of nibbling at the tip of the nipple, mom is going to be very cracked and red and sore and just not encouraged to keep going because she'll be in pain. So that's not what we want. We want to start out with a good latch, all right? Vocab number 1. Colostrum. Colostrum you might have heard it as liquid gold. It's the first bit of milk produced, okay? And this says after birth, but some mothers can express colostrum in those later weeks of pregnancy, okay? It is rich in antibodies and nutrients. This is what I want you to know about colostrum. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, okay? It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, okay? Colostrum is what is going to come in the first few days of life, and it's heavy on the nutrients, and it's heavy on the calories, okay? I know a lot of moms, dads, grandmas, family members, loved ones will worry about this baby. Is this baby getting enough? Is it baby getting enough? okay? But if we're latched properly, we got a nice, good suction happening. The colostrum going to come through and flood that baby's gut and whole system with all this goodness that is going to hold it over until what we quote unquote, that I don't really like saying, is the milk comes in. Because obviously the milk is in prior to. Just a different form, a different composition. All right? Letdown reflex. Letdown reflex. It's an involuntary release of milk triggered by the baby sucking or thinking of the baby. All right? Letdown reflex is controlled by the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin is known as the love hormone. The love hormone, it brings us feelings of bonding, feelings of attachment, feelings of trust, feelings of care, feelings of all those things we feel when we're making this beautiful baby. That's what oxytocin does. Or that's what oxytocin does. And it is necessary for a good letdown reflex. So if you have someone who might not be in an environment where they can release this, it may affect their nursing. And that might be the only issue going on. She just might not feel safe enough to let down. So this is something that's important when you are on the journey to successfully breastfeed. Okay? Engorgement. Engorgement is a swelling of breasts caused by excess milk, often uncomfortable but manageable. Okay? Often uncomfortable but manageable. So somewhere around about day 2, 3, it varies. But there's this term that I learned called second night syndrome. And this is where the milk comes in. The milk can come in now any time of day or night. Any day, come on day 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever day. We call it second. What I've learned is second night syndrome. And what happens on a personal note, on my second night syndrome looked like. All right, we've been nursing just fine. Nursing is going great. No issues. But now I wake up in the middle of the night with a hungry baby, and my breasts are 2 to 3 times larger than they were when I fell asleep. And this baby's hungry. And now I sit up, as I've been taught to do in my lactation classes, to, nurse and get in position and, make sure I'm feeling comfortable. So my letdown reflex and, ready to nurse my baby. But the breasts are engorged. So engorgement is when your breasts are swollen. You may have nodules, knots, definitely pain, okay? The most important thing here to do is we got to let the milk out. We have to let the milk out not only for relief, but we have to let the milk out so we don't develop an infection called mastitis, which is a breast infection, which just sounds like, I have an infection in my breast, but it can be a very nasty infection, systemic, fever, chills, all the things, simply because we couldn't get the milk out. So, engorgement. All right, last term, cluster feeding. This is the period when the baby feeds more frequently to stimulate the milk production or comfort. And this is usually when we have, may have some doubts about whether this baby is getting enough food. Okay, I just fed this baby, an hour ago. Now it's back on my breast. What's going on? Well, there's something called a growth spurt that babies go through. Somewhere around 2-3 weeks. At the end, it varies for every baby. But they'll go through growth spurts. they'll need these extra feedings, these very frequent extra feedings. Doesn't mean that baby's starving. Okay? If baby's weight is on the up and the increase, we keep nursing, we keep going. All right? Keep trying. So those are our key terms and concepts. Latch, colostrum, let-down reflex, engorgement, cluster feeding. There's so many others, but that's what we're going to go with tonight. All right? So coping strategies for some of these challenges I mentioned. Sore nipples. So what are the signs? Your nipples will be cracked. They'll be red. There's definitely going to be some pain during your feed. So your nursing session, you shouldn't have pain throughout the nursing session. You should not have pain throughout your nursing session. You may have some very temporary pain upon latch, okay? If you're experiencing pain throughout the session, you probably need to do some of these things that we'll talk about. Reposition, relatch, okay? So you can, to cope with some of this, like I said, adjust your latch, nurse in different positions, and I say seek help from an experienced nurser, nursing mama. All right. For engorgement, you're gonna feel hard breasts that feel tender. You're gonna see veins popping out of them. All right. They're gonna be nodules that you can feel. What are we gonna do? We gotta get the milk out of the breast. We have to move that milk. So one of the easiest things a mom can do is go get in a hot shower, warm shower, hot. I would even say hot. Put those breasts in a hot shower, okay? Hot shower. If you can't get in the shower, you're gonna get some hot washcloths and wrap them up. Some hot washcloths as much as you can stand it. And I would say to add to that, to the warm wet compress, the hot wet compress, some kind of vibration. All right, however that vibration can come. We have all kind of massages these days. This will give the mom some relief. It'll get that milk flowing so that baby can latch. Because what happens when you're too engorged, your breasts are now too round to grab onto. So we have to get some of that milk out, enough so baby can get to latch and empty the rest of the breast. All right, so it says warm compress before feeding, cool compress afterward, and hand expression. So low milk supply. Not all persons deal with this. Some folks they produce a copious amount of milk, so much so that they're able to stock up, So low supplies, baby seems unsatisfied after feedings, and you have fewer wet diapers. I would say that's even more of an indicator. What comes out of the body is always a good indicator of our health. So baby's peeing, urinating, having bowel movements, several a day, then they're usually okay. But if you're wondering about, my baby I've only changed one diaper, or, every time I change, it's kind of nothing there, and that's definitely a sign that your baby is not getting enough hydration. So we need to seek some help there. All right. So nursing frequently, I would say, for low milk supply would be to nurse frequently. Nurse on demand is my rule. Nurse on demand. We worry about a lot of things that don't even matter in the first few days. Are you going to spoil the baby? well, we want to, we want the baby to survive is what we're really, what really matters in the first few, nurse on demand. And because when you introduce the pacifiers, the pumps, the bottle, the this, the that, before you've established any knowledge of any of this, you don't set yourself up very well to continue breastfeeding. So, like I said, it's a learning process for mama. Sometimes it's a learning process for baby. It's going to be a learning process for each baby that mama has. Not every baby, just gets it like that. So it is something that sometimes has to be worked on. A little note about challenges that's not well known or promoted in our country is that sometimes babies need a spinal and cranial adjustment after navigating the female pelvis. So, and of course that's not something that's very promoted. It might not be covered under your insurance. Folks don't have, but that is something that can greatly enhance a mama and baby's experience after having challenges. Cranial sacral therapy. All right, moving on. So emotional and physical coping. So hormonal changes may cause mood swings or anxiety. All right. And there's a normal level of this and there's a concerning level. So breastfeeding can be one of those things that mothers really, really, really struggle with, that they, really want to succeed at. What I found is that a lot of folks really want to do it, but just think it's going to be a walk in the park. And like I said, sometimes you need a little assistance. You need folks that have done it or are knowledgeable or can assure you along the way that your baby is okay, will be okay. And we have professionals and pediatricians that we are supposed to do well baby checks with. And so we use all of our resources and lactation consultants and do our best to stay on the journey. But you must have some sort of goal in mind. I always encourage moms to have a goal in mind when they set out to breastfeed. Why? Emotional and physical. Okay? We have to navigate it. We have to come up with a plan for it. So was your plan to exclusively nurse? Was your plan to exclusively pump? Was your plan to pump during the day and nurse at night? Sometimes it sounds silly. Sounds silly because, let me get my baby here. I just nurse my baby, right? It sounds very silly. Like, why am I thinking about that? No, you really have to think about it, because when it comes to expectations and, we have hormones are trying to regulate themselves again, and, we have become the caretaker of another human, and I don't know if maybe this human is getting enough. Emotions can run kind of everywhere postpartum, in the postpartum period. So we want to have a good, smart goal in mind when it comes to breastfeeding. Like I said, the easiest way, I think I can tell you, is a nurse on demand that's going to give your body and your baby the best chance. Suckling at the nipple, stimulates the brain to say, we need to make this kind of milk for this baby here. And it needs to come at this frequency because this baby is nursing this frequent. And okay, but once we start doing other things and introducing other things, all right, so we want to have that goal and know what it takes to reach that goal. Your physical self-care is also important. Nursing bras are available, of course. Postpartum, in the postpartum period, you have to, people underrate hydration and nutrition, okay? I tell my moms, you just had a baby, all right? What does that mean? You lost your amniotic fluid. You're losing blood postpartum in the postpartum period for whatever amount of days, weeks. You are sweating profusely because your hormones are trying to regulate. You are losing milk from your nipples because you're trying to feed this baby and keep it thriving, right? So you have to keep up with your hydration. And not sodas, not foolishness. Not foolishness. You need water, you need electrolytes, you need coconut water, you need hydrating fluids with minerals and salts, and okay? This is a very important time, and when you think about you're the one who's producing this fluid, this milk for this newborn, you want it to be the best, the highest quality. So how do you do that? Mom has to be taken care of. Mom has to be fed. Mom has to be rested. Mom has to be hydrated. Mom has to have oxytocin around and feel safe and supported and nourished and nurtured, okay? So these are keys to breastfeeding success. All right, do's and don'ts, as I already said, feed on demand. On demand it says here every 2 to 3 hours or as baby shows hunger cues. That should be about every 2 to 3 hours. Okay? On demand for a normal newborn, that baby should be waking up 2 to 3 hours. Or more frequently. That's okay. What's concerning is we have a very tired and lethargic and sleepy baby that we might not be able to wake up. That's concerning. Run to the ER for that one. That's very concerning. We don't want to get into blood sugar issues. So low blood sugar issues is what I'm talking about. So feed the baby on demand. All right? On demand. On demand means the baby cried. On demand means the baby's showing you cues. You know, they have reflexes. If you stroke this cheek, they're going to do that. If you stroke that cheek, they're going to do that. You know, if they're showing you cues, what are you going to do? Feed the baby on demand. Skin-to-skin contact helps to stimulate milk production, but also helps to evoke that oxytocin that we need for the letdown reflex to happen. So these are things you want to do. You can keep a feeding log, track your baby's intake and diaper changes. That can be very reassuring to some folks. For more seasoned moms, they just do it. They just, may take note of. I know I took very well note of my baby's diaper, what came out of my baby. So that was kind of my measure when I was an early mom. All right, experiment with positions. Cradle hold. Your cradle hold is going to be across the chest. Okay, that's your cradle hold. Common mistakes I see with cradle hold is it's important to roll the baby into you. So when we say belly to belly, this is literally what we mean. The baby should be staring at the target. Staring at the target. So if you're here, imagine if baby's laying here. Because, we hold babies, this is how we hold them. We don't think about it, this is how we hold the baby, right? We hold baby here, But now what does this baby has to do? This baby's looking up now, but if you're trying to feed the baby, what's the baby having to do? If you roll that baby straight into that nipple, now straight target. And what's that first vocabulary word we learned? Now we're ready to latch properly. Okay? What else is down here? I kind of blinded myself with the projector. Use birth cloths and manage spit ups. Moisture. It's a moist time in postpartum, period. Period. There's a postpartum period. There's a very moist time, period. Like I said, moms are sweating. They're losing leaking fluid. Sometimes milk can just drip, as we know. There is this secret space in the baby's neck that milk and stuff likes to run and hide. So you want to use your cloths and even cornstarch to keep baby dry. Stay dry. You don't want to skip meals. You want to prioritize balanced nutrition. So as you're feeding your baby, be mindful that you have to feed yourself. Okay? Be mindful that you have to feed yourself and stay hydrated. Avoid caffeine, alcohol, smoking. They will affect your milk quality. Okay? Don't ignore warning signs of mastitis. Mastitis is that breast infection that I mentioned. Mastitis. Mastitis, pain, fever, redness. Don't supplement with formula unless it's your goal. If that's your goal and you know it, you knew it, and you know it, fine. Don't supplement with formula though, okay? Unless it's advised by the pediatrician. It can interfere with milk supply. All right? Breastfeeding is a positive feedback loop system. All right? The more you feed it, the more you're going to get. The more you feed it, the more, what are we feeding our brain? The more you're going to get what? Milk. The more you're suckling and stimulating, what? That information is traveling to your brain to produce the perfect composition of nourishment for your baby. Okay? Positive feedback system. That is another key, like foundational thing that I wish mothers understood, like really understood it before, because that would eliminate some of this, pacifying and pumping and all of that. There are chemicals that in that baby's saliva that travel through your nipple to the brain. So that pumping, yes, you may be pumping, and now you're able to have a visual of what you've produced, or some of what you produced. But that suck doesn't mimic the human suck. All right? So that's why we say, number one on this side, feed on demand. It's at least in those early days. Try not to supplement with formula, unless pediatrician says so for growth purposes or whatever. All right, moving on. So when do we seek help? Baby struggles to latch or stay on the breast. Maybe baby hopped on and only stays on for like 30 seconds and then pops off. Not interested. That's concerning. That's concerning, especially if it's repeatedly happening. Sometimes moms will find that this is only happening on one breast or the other. That's when we want to look into that craniosacral therapy. Maybe that baby just needs to be adjusted. Maybe there's a lip tie or a tongue tie. Seek your pediatrician's expertise. All right? Make sure that these things have been checked out and not overlooked in your labor and delivery process. All right, what else? If you continue to have pain that persists despite correcting the latch and, making sure that positioning is nice and your belly to belly, or if your pain continues, that's a cause for concern. If your baby shows sign of dehydration, dry mouth, fewer than 6 wet diapers daily, Symptoms of infection in the mom might be a reason to seek help. Mastitis, fever, chills, and breast redness. Thrush. Thrush is yeast. Thrush is yeast. Thrush is yeast, y'all. Okay? So now, if we have yeast on the baby's mouth, now yeast can travel like moist, dark areas and, kind of warm areas. What's that? The breast. Now we got yeast on the breast, and now we are feeding on the man. So now the baby has got, it can be a kind of hard thing to deal with, and sometimes moms will worry, well, is this milk on my baby's tongue or is this something else? Is this thrush? Milk should wipe away, thrush does not. Okay? It's a white residue. The pediatrician or your primary should be able to give you some medications for that. Alright? Lactation support. Resources. So we have lactation consultants that are typically in your hospitals. You have international board certified lactation consultants. You have organizations such as the Women's Wellness Center of Bainbridge that offers courses and support for those who are lactating. La Leche League is a very well-known old school organization that supports moms and meets moms meet up with their babies or not and discuss their challenges, gain insights into nursing. Kelly Mom, we have your hospitals and or birth centers may have options. All right. So, like I said, plan ahead. If you have to get back to work in whatever amount of time, you want to have that goal in mind that I spoke of earlier. So that SMART goal. You got to go back in 6 weeks on the dot. Well, you may need to have a plan for how your baby will be fed while you're at work, when you return to work at 6 weeks. So that's what we mean by planning ahead with work. Planning ahead, how will you introduce solids? Okay? How will you introduce solids? It says begin around 6 months, continuing to breastfeed until at least 1 year. At least 1 year. At least 1 year. American Academy of Pediatrics, I believe, says 3 years. All right? Let's not look at moms weird when their 3-year-old is still nursing. All right? Some smart kids, I tell you. All right? And then weaning gradually. Usually, that is it can be a really challenging time trying to wean newborns. So this says replace one breastfeeding session at a time with bottle or cup feeding. There's many different ways to do it. I find going all day, no feed, and then having a session at night typically works. But it is a process. The little ones sometimes have a hard time, and in my case, sometimes the parents have a hard time because their kids just wean themselves. Both of my kids wean themselves. All right, how do I know if my baby is getting enough milk? All right, 6 to 8 wet diapers, 3 to 4 solids a day. That means stools. Per day. If your baby's gaining weight, that is great news. Okay? You can always come by the Women's Wellness Center of Bainbridge and I will weigh your baby in one of our beautiful slings. Okay? You will weigh the baby and you can take that weight to your next pediatrician visit or consult with your pediatrician about it. But increased weight is always a good sign, yes? At least for newborns, maybe not adults. So, you know your position. So you have your cradle hold. We stop there. You also have your football hold. Football hole is here. I can't see myself. Football hole is here. Mothers with large breasts are always going to have to lift the breast first. With all these positions, you're going to have to lift your breast. And you may have to hold it out of the baby's airway. And that would be the nose in this case, because the mouth should be full. All right? That's your football hole, right? You run like that with the football. That's the football hole. What was the first one? Cross cradle. What are we going to do? Roll baby belly to belly to the target. Another note about cross cradle. So cross cradle, I said with all of them, you're going to lift the breast. You're going to lift the breast out of the baby's way. But the other thing we struggle with, y'all see this little hand right here? This little hand is strong. This hand is strong. So after you lift that breast, you gotta tuck that hand under there, out of the way. Because baby will grab and you're trying to learn how to latch and baby's excited and now we're frustrated and get that hand out of the way or have help. Have somebody to hold baby's hand. Move out of the way, up and out of the way, hand under. Now we work on that latch. Okay? Next one we have is sideline. Can't quite demonstrate that tonight, but sideline. Normally mama supports herself here. Again, what we're going to do, flop that breast on out so you're not laying on it. Typically supports, you're still going to what? Roll baby in, okay? Get a good latch. Next one. And then you can experiment. Baby will find their favorite position. Surely will. Give them that good week, undisturbed, no pumps, no passies. They're going to get it. They're going to find what suits them best. So we already talked about engorged breasts. You're going to put that warm compress on. If you got some vibration handy, add that to your remedy, okay? Or alternatively, hot shower, hand expression, okay? There are all types of videos, resources available to teach how to hand express. Very simple. And I'll say that it's simple, but you sometimes need someone else to do it because mama might be really trying to get it, really trying to get it out. Why is she trying to get it out? Maybe because they're engorged. Keyword. They're engorged. All right, she's really trying to get it out, so she's trying to hand express, trying to get this stuff out, but it's not coming out. Why? What's our magic hormone? It's our magic hormone. There's no oxytocin. She can't relax. She can't relax. She's trying to get the stuff out. I gotta feed this baby right now. Why isn't it coming out? Oh my gosh, can I get it out? Typically takes somebody else's hands. But once you learn how to hand express, it's a very handy tool and will help you very quickly along the way. You'll know that, oh, my nipples are kind of round. I just need to get a little bit out. And then your baby latches just like that. All right, so can I breastfeed if I'm sick? Yes. In most cases, it's safe. If you're taking some kind of medicine or anything like that, you definitely want to consult your doctor, or your doctor or pharmacist should. You should mention to them that you are breastfeeding and ask, is the medication safe? Ask for yourself. Don't rely on them to let you know. All right? But when it's just, when it's sickness, common old sickness, that baby's getting those antibodies. Those antibodies are getting through to your baby and helping to protect that baby from the exact same illness that you currently have. So what should I eat? Well, breastfeeding, well-balanced diet, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, protein, and healthy fats. I know that just sounds like what we always hear. Eat healthy. What does that mean? My rule of thumb and just what I've kind of organically done throughout the years is I think about when I go shopping the process it's taken to get in front of my face. So, I might look. I've already looked at labels, the ingredients. After that, I'm like, where did this thing come from? If you look at a pack of nuts, if you look sometimes, comes from like 6, 7, 8 different countries. Like a bag of mixed nuts. It's very interesting. And I'm like, wow, if they have a trace. Anyway, all right. So you should be eating things that come from the earth. Okay, that's the other thing. How processed is it, and did it come from the earth? That's the best I can give you. Warm soups. This is postpartum period, so eat your warm soups. Your liquids. Okay, getting your fruits in, and this is fresh stuff like lemon waters. We keep lemon waters here and different fruit infused waters at the Women's Wellness Center for that purpose. Sometimes water's not enough. We need some of those electrolytes and things. Those electrolytes, vitamins, all of those salts and things are gonna hydrate your body. Give that breast milk the best composition it can for that baby. All right. So if your baby refuses to latch, it says what to do. Stay calm. You're going to try some skin-to-skin contact. You can try a few different positions. And again, that hand expression. And if you really have tried all the things, and it might not be all the things. You just tried what you want to try. Call the lactation consultant. Find out who your lactation consultant is at the hospital, at the birth center, at the community organization in your local town. Okay? If there's no one, the Women's Wellness Center is here for you. All right? That is about it, I believe. Do we have any questions before we depart tonight? Thank you all for being on and showing interest in this topic. Definitely, if there's more interest, we have a whole lot more that we could give to you and offer to you. All right. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to Alicia Hurt at icmybaby.org for questions, comments. Feel free to scan the QR code for more information as well. If you are interested in just receiving a little bit more than what we have been able to offer tonight, please feel free to come by, give us a call. We're at 310 South Scott Street in Bainbridge, Georgia. Please come by. We are happy to help. We are here for you. We are here for you. We want to see you succeed in every way in life possible. That's health, that's physically, that is spiritually, that is emotionally, that is in safety. We want you to feel empowered, and we want you to have the help that is available, okay? God put us all here with different talents, abilities, strengths, and aptitudes, okay? And we at the Women's Wellness Center is here to do just that, to share all of those things with you that we uniquely have. And we're very passionate about women's health, all things women's health, okay? Not just breastfeeding. So please come check us out and see how we will be able to help you, how we can, make you the best you that you can be. All right? Y'all have a beautiful evening, and we will see you at the next series. Please check it out. We have the birth class series. We have breastfeeding series. We have dual classes. Please check out the schedule. All right. Y'all have a good night.